Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. We're back on the cooling system on the 92 Fox. Previous video, we went ahead and cut out the lower radiator core. It was all damaged and buckled. We got a nice new one welded in there. We got the radiator purchase welded. We got the AC purchase welded. AC condenser fits in there great. Good start. Now we're moving on to phase 2 of this, which is to address the actual cooling system. Now that we can fit a new radiator in there. You can see we got this new radiator. It is quite a bit thicker than the old stock one. That should help tremendously. Now one could argue we could take the old stock radiator and we could have just addressed the poor fan on it, put a shroud, and probably got away with somewhat decent cooling on here. And that's true, I agree, we probably could have. But I already know that I'm going to supercharge this car next, and I drive it a lot. It's going to be kind of like a daily driver. It's hard to call it a daily when I have so many cars I daily, but let's just call it a daily driver. It's going to get driven hard in boost in mid-Florida summer with the AC on. I don't think this radiator and setup's going to cut it even with the beefed up fan. So that's where I stepped up to this. And we can see here, let's see if we can turn this and take a look. It's quite a bit thicker. We got a lot more cooling surface on here. That is going to help tremendously. Then to address the fan situation, I found these. Actually got a couple of them. I mean, why not, right? In case we totally destroy one, we can figure out the other one. This is a replica of the Ford Contour cooling fans. I've typically, for projects like this, I use the Lincoln Mark 8 cooling fans. They are impressive, hands down. They draw a ton of current though, but they pull a huge amount of air and they work really well. These fans I've heard a lot about. I've never actually used one on a project, so I thought, why not do something different? Let's try it out. Now, obviously, getting an actual Ford Contour fan, you gotta dig in the junkyard. You don't know what you're getting, how used it is, and so forth. So I thought I'd try to find something new, a replica. These are repops I found on eBay. They're only $90, hence I just grabbed two of them. We'll play with them. Seems way too cheap to be good, but I did a little looking behind the company selling them, and it wasn't just some guy selling it out of his basement. It's a real company out in Kansas. I think it was Olathe or Lenexa, something Kansas. And it was a legit company, and they offer a 10-year warranty on the fan too. So I guess they're pretty confident it's not going to burn up. We'll see. I went ahead and did a little bit of preliminary testing on the fan before wasting my time even trying to put it on here. I did a real scientific test. Are you ready for this? I hooked up some battery leads, and I felt the wind blowing on my face. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I've pretty much done that with every fan I've installed on all different projects over the years. So I have a pretty good feel of the wind blowing on me. Yeah, it's not scientific, but you can tell the difference when you have a really poor performing fan versus a pretty powerful fan right off the bat. And although I only had one of the two fans hooked up, it was moving a decent amount of air. I was quite impressed. I think that's going to work. The two of them coupled together, it's going to be great. Plus, we have a full shroud, as you can see, that's going to draw air across the full surface area of the radiator. And that alone is going to make a huge difference. I cannot tell you how important the shroud is. On various projects I've done, no matter how powerful your fan is, if you don't have a good shroud, you're kind of wasting your time. You lose so much of the cooling ability of that fan and setup. Now obviously this is a aftermarket radiator for a Mustang, and this is a aftermarket repop of the Contour fan setup. Surprisingly, it fits inside of this core area very well. I'm impressed. So my job now is basically to trim it up, get rid of excess pieces that stick out that are in the way, and fab up some sort of bracketry or something, find a clean way to attach this to the radiator as though it was meant for it and make that work. So that's going to be my next phase of this project. Get the fans installed on there, and then of course we'll wire it up and get it installed in the car. And the next phase of that, we're going to build a fan speed controller. And I'll cover more details on that when we get to that, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to control these fans so that they turn on real soft. They don't have a heavy hit every time the power kicks on. That way it doesn't bog your engine or make that like idle blip when it's idling because of the sudden load of these fans. And really with two such powerful fans, there's no need for them to kick on full power every time the car just needs a little bit of temperature control. We could turn them on real slowly, a soft turn on, and we can ramp the speed of the fans up and down just according to how much cooling is needed. It makes them quiet, more efficient, less drag on the motor. It's great. I've done it on multiple cars. I have a pretty good idea. I'm going to do a little bit different in this setup, but we'll do a whole video on that one as well and show you how it all works. Let's get to the actual hardware part and get this installed and going from there. And go ahead and get rid of this resistor block here. We're not going to use that in our setup. We'll just use this as a template and make a plug and cover this hole. Alright, phase one complete. With all these extra tabs, all these extra plastics that were hanging off the edges gone, cleaned up. Tab at the top here had a piece sticking in that would have caught into the fins. That's gone. We're just going to make a block of plate for that, close that up. That's stage one. Let's move on to the next part of this. Okay, here's the little Z shape I bent up. You saw how I had to heat that up to get that bend, and that's because I found when I bend this aluminum cold or room temperature, it just sort of tears and sort of snaps, for lack of a better explanation. And I forget if this was 6061 or 5052. I have just like boxes of this stuff. I bought tons of these little plates in various different shapes and sizes years ago when I was teaching myself how to weld aluminum, so I just have tons of it left over. I didn't mark or remember what they were, but anyway, heated it up, it makes it much more malleable. It bends without tearing. That's the idea on the bottom here. So I'll drill a hole in there. We'll go ahead and get that bolted in, and that's going to create sort of a bottom cradle where this slides in. On the other end, the plastic's a lot thinner here, and I'm going to have to make a much tighter Z. Alright, I wanted to update you on some of the progress I've made on these brackets. I got the lower ones made here. You can see I got the sort of Z-type shape going, and they're pointing a little bit of an angle upwards like that. And the idea is that I wanted this to be serviceable in the future with the radiator and assembly in the car, so that the the fan assembly can just slide straight up while the radiator stays behind. So on the top side, I did something similar, same sort of Z-style shape. Oh, this one's fastened in here. This one's still loose, so I can show you what's going on. What I ended up doing was putting a little locating pin on there. This worked out great. I found this aluminum rod, and it just so happened to fit in these holes perfectly. So I went ahead and put a locating pin on there, so it slips right in that hole, and then I drilled a hole in the bottom here, so I had a straight shot down here. But the nice thing with that is, not only do these two now pinch against the bottom two, securing this fan solid, but by having those locating pins, it stops any side-to-side movement. You can see there's a hairline gap down this side, and the same on this side. I have it centered. It's held in nice and solid, so that's pretty cool. This way, when I want to service the fan, I can unbolt it here, pop these off, and I can just slide the unit straight up. It'll just slide straight out of these bottom two. So the only thing left to do on these, I was thinking about maybe painting them. Obviously they're aluminum, so they're not going to rust, but I thought if I paint just the top and a little bit half black and then leave that silver, kind of make them blend in with the background, basically. I don't know if it'll look stupid or not. I'm going to give it a shot. Kind of make them blend into where you don't see them. Not that anybody's ever going to see them, but I see it and it bugs me, so I'm going to try and fix it. Alrighty, time to change things up a little. We're pulling the T-top box out of the middle building. Going to move it down into the wooden shed, store it down here for a bit, and try and make some workspace out of that middle building up there. Whenever you get a garden shed for your lawnmower, make sure it's plenty big, like really big. Alright, so we got the T-top stored in here for now, just so I can sort out some workspace and a bit of garage area to get to working on it. This will do for now. I went ahead and installed this dehumidifier up here, so it won't be in any kind of bad weather conditions, humidity or rusting or anything. Got power down here, and there we go, ran the hose down there, so it'll be in nice dry conditions in here. It shouldn't rust up or have any issues. And once I can sort out some space to pull it up, and we'll get back to working on this car. I'm excited to get this one going, so it's kind of a bummer, but we'll get there. Alright, this is pretty exciting. I'm still waiting on garages, of course. It's a going to be a long time work in progress, but in the meantime, I went ahead and cleared out the middle storage building. This just was housing the T-top Fox and a bunch of storage stuff. Put some lighting up on the top, spray insulation, foam, I guess, quote cell foam, that's what it is. And I got some, a little bit of workspace around in here, nothing crazy. Put an AC unit in there, dehumidifier, and now it's kind of chill down in here, and we can actually get some work done out of the, the brutal heat in midsummer is a little much, and the constant raining, running inside, getting out of the water, pain in the butt. So now I actually kind of want it to rain because I got some cover. It's not very big in here. I've got a little bit of space, a few tools in here. I can step outside for some stuff. We can still back it out when the weather permits, but this is going to be awesome. We should be able to accelerate some of what's going on. So we'll finish getting this front end on, finish the controller for the fan setup, and let's get this thing buttoned up and going. Here we can really see the difference between the two radiators. So obviously on the left is the old setup, and you can see how much of the radiator was not covered by a shroud. Huge issue. The right hand side, that's going to be a monster in my opinion. We'll see. One issue I am seeing is that overflow bottle. No space over here with the fan setup, so I got to figure out a way to get this guy moved over there. I'm looking over here, since I'm not running an automatic. I do have, obviously there's an automatic transmission cooler inside here, but I could maybe use these threaded holes to fab up a bracket that comes over and holds the bottle, or I don't know. I'm gonna have to ponder this one for a few and see what I can figure out. Here's the solution I came up with. I went ahead and installed it onto the fan shroud itself. The plastic was already bumped up over here. I installed a bushing or spacer over here to get it even. And it did not end up using those holes like I thought I might. And it fits great. I test fitted it in the car. Everything's looking pretty good. I went ahead and hit it with some metal polish too. The microfiber towel buffed it right out. The lid not so much. I'm gonna need something a little more abrasive, so I'll get back to that later. But yeah, that's the package. That's what's going in. Alright guys, we're gonna end it off over there. Next time we're gonna address a critical issue with the radiator setup that I only discovered right at the end when I go to try and install it in the car. Also build up some of the harness and get some of that wiring going. Next time.